You know, George Washington was the first president, but did you know he straight up refused to be king? Or that one guy literally served as president for just 31 days? Today, we're diving into the first 10 US presidents, but not the boring textbook version. These are the weird facts, wild moments, and wait, what? Stories they don't teach you in school. Some were legends, some were chaos. All of them unforgettable. Let's go. Let me tell you something about George Washington. The guy didn't just become the first president. He invented the job. No guidebook, no podcast, just vibes. And he was like, sure, I'll take it. Bro stepped into history like it was casual Friday. There was no Google, no YouTube, no presidency for dummies lying around. This man was out here making it up as he went. Imagine waking up like, how do I lead a brand new nation today? And get this, after 2 terms, he stepped down. Just said, I'm done. That's like finishing 2 seasons of a hit show and not even signing on for the 3rd. No cliffhanger, just peace. Now imagine that today. Modern politicians? Man, they hold on to their seats tighter than I hold on to my phone on 1% battery. You'd have to pry the office out of their hands, like it's the last slice of pizza. Have you seen his portrait? Dude looks like he's silently judging your life choices. Like he knows you skipped leg day and that you microwave your coffee. He's got that I created this country for this face. But hey, we only meme the ones we care about. And George, you're the original meme-worthy legend, my guy. John Adams, the original grumpy smart guy energy. He was short, loud, brilliant, and he knew it. The man argued like it was a competitive sport and considered being right a full-time job. You'd never win an argument with him, but he'd still keep talking just to make sure you really lost. He helped write the Declaration of Independence, then beefed with half the other founding fathers. His friendship with Jefferson was like a season-long drama, best friends, bitter rivals, then BFFs again at the end. Revolutionary War? More like revolutionary group chat. As president, Adams passed the Alien and Sedition Acts, basically America's first version of Don't Talk Trash About Me Online. For a guy who helped create free speech, he really didn't love hearing people use it. He was the first one-term president. Voters went, thanks for independence, but next? Still, he walked away with his head high and his pen ready. He spent his retirement writing thousands of letters because that man was born to debate, even on paper. Also, fun fact, he was the first president to live in the White House. Moved in when it was basically still under construction. Imagine being the second most powerful guy in the world with no plumbing. John Adams wasn't warm and fuzzy. He was sharp, complex, and unapologetically himself. And if he were here today, he'd probably correct this paragraph twice. Thomas Jefferson, the man who broke up with Britain in the most eloquent way possible. He wrote the Declaration of Independence like it was a masterclass in mic drops. All men are created equal, powerful, bold, and deeply complicated coming from him. Jefferson was a walking contradiction. He loved liberty, but owned slaves, hated big government, then expanded federal power, feared cities, but adored Paris. He was the human version of its complicated. He bought the Louisiana Territory and doubled the size of the U.S. without asking Congress first. That's like coming home with a second house and saying, don't worry, it was on sale. Jefferson also founded the University of Virginia, played the violin, and collected over 6,000 books. He basically turned Monticello into a library, concert hall, and think tank. He didn't like public speaking. For real, he gave the State of the Union by sending it as a letter. Today, he'd just be like, check my blog for updates. He was brilliant, flawed, and left a legacy that still sparks debate. If he were alive now, he'd probably be running a podcast called Founding Thoughts and still confusing everyone. James Madison was the brains behind the Constitution. He was barely 5'4", soft-spoken, and weighed around 100 pounds. But the guy wrote the blueprint of American government. Basically, small guy, massive legacy. He co-wrote the Federalist Papers to convince people to ratify the Constitution, then helped shape the Bill of Rights. This man built the rules and explained them like a tutor with a whiteboard. As president, he led the country through the War of 1812, during which the British literally burned down the White House. Tough day at the office. Thankfully, his wife Dolly Madison saved the famous George Washington portrait during the fire. So yes, behind every great man is a woman saving national treasures in a crisis. He wasn't a flashy speaker or a loud leader, but he was strategic, steady, and smarter than most rooms he walked into. A true introvert icon. James Madison made thinking cool. He didn't just write history, he engineered it, quietly from the shadows. James Monroe is best known for the Monroe Doctrine, aka America's way of saying, Europe, stay in your lane. It wasn't loud, it was firm, global side-eye, but diplomatic. His presidency was called the Era of Good Feelings, which sounds like a 1970s band, but really meant everyone was tired of arguing. For a minute, politics was peaceful. He fought in the Revolutionary War, held nearly every major political role before becoming president, and still somehow kept it low drama, a multitasker with chill energy. He toured the country as president, shaking hands and boosting morale like the original roadshow. He made meet and greet a national strategy. Monroe wasn't flashy. He didn't tweet bold takes or throw punches, but he made sure America had space to grow without interference, and that's no small feat. He's the kind of leader who doesn't demand attention, but earns respect. Quietly impactful, classy under pressure, a steady hand in a noisy time. John Quincy Adams grew up with revolutionaries and fluently spoke 5 languages before most kids finished algebra. He was basically a founding father with a better LinkedIn. He wasn't the most charismatic president, but his post-presidency? Iconic. He went back to Congress and spent years fighting slavery like it was his final boss. He swam nude in the Potomac River for exercise. His daily routine included a cold plunge and policy reform. Respect. He had the mind of a scholar and the temper of a caffeine-deprived professor. Smart, intense, a little terrifying, but always fighting the good fight. JQA once debated an entire Congress hall and won. Not with shouting, just cold logic and 50 years of receipts. He may not have been a popular president, but he was a relentless force for justice. Less leader of the people, more moral compass with a quill. Andrew Jackson was the first president who made the job feel like a bar fight. He survived duels, carried bullets in his body, and glared at anyone who questioned him. Total chaos energy. He claimed to represent the common man, but ruled like a tough uncle who throws chairs at Thanksgiving. Populism meets pure adrenaline. He hated the National Bank so much, he destroyed it. Just gone, like flipping the Monopoly board mid-game. He let regular folks into the White House after his inauguration. People literally broke the furniture. It was democracy meets mosh pit. He expanded executive power, reshaped American politics, and pushed through policies that were bold and brutal. Trail of Tears, one of the darkest parts of his legacy. Love him or loathe him, Jackson left a permanent mark. He didn't just shake up the system, he punched it in the face. Martin Van Buren had sideburns that deserved their own term in office. Stylish, composed, and smoother than a campaign slogan. He was the first true political operator, crafted coalitions, built party structures, and basically turned backroom politics into an art form. Known as the Little Magician, he pulled strings behind the curtain and kept the show running without breaking a sweat. He faced the Panic of 1837, a financial crisis he didn't cause but had to clean up. Like starting a job and immediately getting blamed for last year's mess. He wasn't loud or flashy, but he was slick, like a guy who always knew where the exits were and which handshake mattered. Van Buren was the political version of jazz, smooth, subtle, and slightly underrated. William Henry Harrison gave the longest inauguration speech in history, in the rain, with no coat. The man beat war generals but lost to pneumonia. He served just 31 days before dying, the shortest presidency ever. Blink and you missed him, literally. He was a war hero, tough as nails, and loved frontier swagger. But Mother Nature had other plans. If there were a presidential hall of fame for weird records, Harrison would be in it. Loudest speech, shortest term. His campaign slogan was Tippecanoe and Tylo too, which sounds like a folk duo, but actually got him elected. He didn't have time to change the nation, but he definitely made presidential trivia more interesting. John Tyler wasn't even supposed to be president, but when Harrison died, he stepped up like, guess it's my job now. No one was ready, especially Congress. He set the precedent that the VP becomes full president. Not acting, not temporary, just president. Bold move, Tyler. He vetoed bills left and right. His own party kicked him out. Imagine being so independent even your friends unfollow you. He had 15 kids. 15. Man was running a country and a daycare. Tyler annexed Texas near the end of his term, setting the stage for massive expansion and massive drama. People didn't know what to do with him then, but history gives him credit for reshaping the role of the presidency forever.